So, I want to talk about the relationship that I had with food when I was going through a tough time and how it ultimately cost me or what it cost me. In 2020, 2021, I'm not going to go too deep into that. Long story short, my sister passed away. I had always been living alone after I finished varsity while I was working, but she came to live with me briefly, right? And then eventually she passed while she was living with me in December. And throughout that December, it was a very festive season, even though that had happened. But that meant I had a lot of support and community around me because I was surrounded by family. So I feel like after we buried her, I was sort of like, okay, in a sense, because we're all there, cousins, everyone, and all of that. However, in January, now everybody has to go back to their home. And I also went back to my apartment where I had been living with her. And when I got back, that's when the reality that, okay, you're alone now and you have to deal with this started to hit, right? And for me, at that time, I did not have community. I've never been a person that has friends or that can keep friends. Not that I'm a bad person, but I don't know. I think maybe I'm an introvert. I don't know, but I'm not very good at being a friend. I'll be there for you when you need me, but I'm not the kind that will go out to the club or go drink coffee. In fact, I'm the kind of person you can call me. I will look at the phone literally ringing, not answer. Then as soon as the call is over, I'll message you like, oh my gosh, babe, I'm so sorry. I was a little busy. Let me call you back later. Or actually, could we just text? So it's very hard to maintain relationships when you're that kind of a person that's not very sociable, or I don't know how to explain it. So I did not have an outlet after that process of the funeral and festives. It was just me, and there was no way I could expect my family to be there to comfort me. They themselves needed comfort. It was just me at that point. And to be very honest with you, like I said in my previous video, I was very healthy, right? But when you're sitting in your bed crying yourself to sleep, the truth is there is no way you will think, oh, a bowl of salad could really, really help me right now. No way. And if there are people out there who do that, honestly, I envy you because you've really reached a certain level of mental strength to be able to do that. But it's not something that is comforting, right? So for me, that's when the introduction with food happened. It would be a moment of needing comfort, right? Needing something that will just make you feel good, even if it's just for a moment. You hold on to it, anything that can move you away from the misery, right? And for me, for instance, in those moments when I was consuming the junk food, it was the only moment where there was like a peace, like quiet in my brain, where I didn't have to process grief or think about work or think about anything. My focus was on the food fully and physically. I was taking in the smells, the textures, the taste, and all that. It was a very interactive, very, guys, very intimate moment. I think it's not even normal, right? And I think people who are eating as a way of dealing with issues in life probably can relate that it's a slice of pizza when you're going through a tough time is not the same as a slice of pizza when you're just okay in your life and you're just having pizza. It's, I swear, like, it's so deep that even the temperature of the pizza hits you differently. I would not eat a pizza cold because I needed it to be warm so that I just felt the warmth from it. It became a very intimate relationship, to be honest, that I had with food. But it's because of in that moment when I was eating, that was my only focus. So in my day, that was the moment I looked forward to, because that is the moment when my brain did not have to think of much, but my senses could just absorb whatever that was in front of me. And I think, again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just assessing my journey and trying to understand it better so I can better improve myself. For instance, before I would eat pizza, obviously, but maybe 2, 3 slices. But in that phase, you have one slice, right? Then, sorry guys, I want to make sure the mic is on. Okay. You'll have one slice, 2 slices, 3 slices, four. The thing is not that you're hungry when you continue. It's because you don't want the moment to end, or at least that was for me. If I eat 3 slices of pizza, I'm done in like 6 minutes. If I eat how many slices of pizza are there in a box? 8 slices. I mean, that's like at least 3 times that, right? So it's more time that you spend in that moment of comfort. That's why you end up eating more than you should. But also for me, most of the time, after I finished eating, especially in those moments where I would really go excessive, I noticed that I would genuinely feel guilt. Like, girl, that was actually a lot. You just finished a full box, like a full box of pizza. So I would feel guilt afterwards. But because of everything that was happening emotionally for me, mentally, it would quickly be overshadowed by that feeling again of what I'm dealing with. For instance, let's say maybe I walk through the bedroom where my sister used to sleep and I look at the bed and, oh crap, there it is, there we go. Or go and open up her drawers and smell her clothes. I just was doing a lot of weird things, right? So that's how the relationship happened. And also in those moments where the guilt is over, now you're back to dealing with the issues, or you have to get back to work, meetings, this, that, and just tune in. As soon as all of that is done happening, you immediately want another moment of calmness and peace and comfort. And of course, that's going to be food once again, right? So that's how the relationship happened progressively over a period of probably, yes, pretty much 2 years. But then now the issue with that is there's a trade off. You're getting comfort, but at the expense of something. You're gaining weight. But in that moment, it's not something that you think about or notice until it's noticeable, right? And also, when you're going through a tough time and you're grieving, I don't think you care much for the mirror. First of all, when you're going through depression, you hardly go out. So it's not like you actually ever have moments where you need to dress up and look nice. So unless I had friends and they said, come, let's go out, you can't do this, that's why community is really so important. But I didn't have that. So I never ever had moments where I need to shower, dress up and look really nice. Then maybe I can look at the mirror and be like, oh, girl, okay, no. You know what I mean? Even the work I did, I worked remotely. There wasn't a lot of, even in meetings, you don't have to show yourself on the camera. So I was just showering and moving on, not minding myself until, right, you start actually now seeing it without even looking at the mirror. Like, okay, no, man, this is a bit of fat, this is a bit of that. And then you start looking at yourself and realize that this thing is actually changing my body, right? But unfortunately, even when you notice, it does not mean you stop. At least not for me. It did not mean I stopped. I just noticed it, right? But I'll tell you something that happened. I remember one time I looked at myself and I noticed. I don't remember what weight I was, but I specifically remember I even took a picture at that time. Maybe I'll find it and put it somewhere here. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let me change this. I'm going to go outside, go to the mall, buy some food, come back and cook. And guys, I had been locked indoors. And I think the more you spend time inside, not interacting with human beings, the more hypersensitive you are to human connection, right? Or human interaction. It actually ends up causing some form of anxiety. I remember that day so well. I even remember what I wore. I actually wore one of my sister's dresses. It's so weird how I was grieving. I put on a dress that my sister used to wear. It was like a dress that is sort of like poofy, it doesn't shape you or anything. And then as I was heading out, I thought to myself, okay, you know what? I don't actually want to see anyone at the mall who knows me because I've put on this weight, right? I just don't want that because people will just ask me lots of questions. Swear to God, I went and I took sunglasses, you know, those big dark ones. And then I took I don't know, like a head wrap, what it's called. Actually, it's red. I'm looking at it. I took a head wrap and I covered myself like this. I think it's like, you see how Muslim do it. I literally, it was my first time ever in my life being so insecure about myself and my body that just going out to the mall, I was anxious about being seen. I did that. I remember when I got to the mall, I was in the lift, and you know, some lifts they have mirrors. Excuse me, some lifts have mirrors. I remember quickly taking a picture of myself on the lift, looking at myself in the mirror, just to make sure that anyone who knows me, if they passed me quickly, they would not recognize me. Am I covered well enough? So that's, you know, how much it had started affecting my body image, right? And to be honest with you, I went, I bought some food, I came back, and when I came back, I did not cook. I was like, okay, you know what? And I think it's stuff we always just tell ourselves, like this whole thing of New Year's resolution. Oh, let me enjoy my December, January, I'll start eating right. I feel like it's just excuses. And for me, the excuse I made was, listen, I'm tired. There was a whole lot of anxiety and stress. I'm going to order something. Then tomorrow morning, I'm going to start cooking. Did I ever start cooking? I don't think so. So I probably cooked 1 or 2 meals. And here's the thing, I would cook a healthy meal, eat it, and feel like that was a starter, and then I'll still follow it up with some deep fried fish and chips and like a milkshake or whatever. So it just became that kind of a cycle. But the more I stayed in that state, the bigger and bigger I got. But also because I was not interacting with people, no one ever was there to check me to say, you know, and maybe actually it's good for people to comment about people's weights because maybe it's a wake up call. We need to change things, maybe, right? But I didn't have that. So it really, really affected my self identity a lot. And to be honest with you, I did not realize how deeply my own self identity personally was tied to how I looked. My body was my biggest asset, right? It was my pride and joy. It was what gave me confidence. I know some people that's not the case. They are generally naturally confident in themselves, whatever size they were. I thought so too until I gained weight and I realized, no, I'm not one of those people. Even my ability to make money and all of that was always tied to my image. And maybe in other videos, I can talk about how it affected my ability to make money, you know, income and all of that. And also how it affected my relationships. But I just want to focus on me, my personal identity, and what I lost throughout gaining weight, right? So I really did not realize that how much I was tied to my identity to the point that going outside, I feel the need to cover up and hide myself, right? Hating mirrors, unless the only time I swear I ever looked in a mirror was to specifically go and look how bad it is, not to fix it. Just go look, and when I looked, every time I looked, I would take a picture just so I can see properly at the back, okay, this is how bad it looks. So eventually, like a year later, because it was a 2-year process, I was aware and I knew when it was changing, when it was going from bad to worse. I was very conscious, but somehow I just did not stop, right? And man, the impact it really had on my identity, it messed up a lot of things because it caused a lot of isolation for me. And I think also because maybe I'm not very strong as a person psychologically. I'll give an example. So when the funeral happened in December 2020, it was slightly after the COVID time. And as I mentioned in my previous video, I had gained, excuse me, 17 pounds. So which is not much. I was still fine. I'll put a picture here just for those of you who did not see. But the thing is, my family is a family of small people. We don't really have big people in my family. I'm literally actually sitting trying to think of one person in my family that's big, actually bigger than me, and I can't pinpoint one. We just naturally, our genetics were smaller people, right? like all my cousins, thin, literally model-sized bodies. Like everyone is just shaped like that. You know, we all have, especially Black people, we all have those aunties that are just so forward and outspoken. They don't really filter much. They say what they say. Everybody knows them, and it's fine. We love them as they are. So a couple of like my family members, my aunties would just be like, what happened? You can't wait. But I would just say, ah, man, come on guys, it's COVID. We all know everybody gained weight in COVID. But the weird thing was everyone was still thin. This is so weird. My cousins were all like thin, just like how I used to be, but also my weight gain was not that bad. Actually, I was happy with that weight gain because I felt like I was a little bit thick, you know what I mean? So it didn't bother me, but those comments, they stay with you, and I know how my family is. So I want to be honest about something, right? Just so I can be fully transparent about how the loss of self-identity and the isolation, like how bad it was. And what I'm about to say, I've been making it seem like it's nothing, but I know it's a bad thing. Because of how I had gained weight and how I looked and how my aunts and family reacted to how when I just gained 17 pounds, I knew that if I gained 40, 60 pounds, now it's going to be worse, right? Give me a second. I have not went back home or visited my sister's grave since the day she was buried, which is like 5 years. Since that day when we buried my sister, that was the last time I ever went back home. And the reason is because of I'm scared what my family will say if they see me looking like this. Give me a second. I promise you, this is the last video I'm ever going to record where I cry, because I do not want to be that person that's on YouTube crying, because it's going to seem disingenuous. The whole idea that I had for this channel was to record my weight loss journey and health and mental wellness and all of that. That was my idea, but unfortunately I'm not there yet. I have to go through these values to get to that other side. So eventually I'll get to a point where the videos are positive and nice. But this is kind of where I am right now. And maybe I'm being too honest, but it's somehow helping me. So, never visited my grave, my sister's grave, for 5 years. And it's very selfish because I know that wherever she is, she's probably looking at me like, oh, like you actually literally just abandoned me. You didn't even come to clean up my grave, like put some flowers there or whatever. But I'm literally, to this day, today, okay, it's not yet midnight. It's Christmas Eve. I'm here alone. I'm gonna have Christmas without my family because I'm still scared of showing up looking like this. Because I just know that someone is gonna say something about how I look, if not everyone. And when they do, I know that I will smile and act like it's nothing, but I will come back and it will set me back. So I am so ashamed of how I look, to the point that I'm allowing it to even affect my own relationship with my dead sister. So don't gain weight, guys. Unless you know you're strong enough to be able to handle it, don't gain weight. It will take so much from you. You will just wake up and it's just you and nothing else. Like to the point that I'm actually abandoning dead people. Imagine. But
I don't even know what to say except gaining weight took away a lot from me. But I think the most important thing it took away from me was my self-identity. Because when you don't identify with yourself anymore, you can't even take yourself and go out to the world, because then you feel like it's another person. You don't feel like you have it yourself, like you have a hold of yourself. So there's a lot to talk about how, because the thing is, once you lose your self-identity and once you lose your confidence, you lose your relationships, you lose pretty much everything, trickles down after that, because your self-identity is your essence. It's the core being that you are. It's who you are. And if you don't feel like you are you, literally you look in the mirror, it's like, I always look in the mirror and it's like I'm looking at an old sad woman. So how are you going to go out there and be confident? So I think for me, the thing with my family, even though I'm not going back home, the ones who want to see me, they come to visit me. But also I've been very selective. I only allow people that I know will not say anything about how I look come to visit me. For instance, for those who watched the previous video, I mentioned that eventually, 2 years after this whole grieving process and gaining weight, I decided I want to change. But then I had an injury and I ended up in hospital. Now, here's the thing. When you're in hospital, you can't force people from coming to see you. So someone from my family came to see me. And I swear to God, as soon as they walked in and they saw me on that bed, the first thing they commented about was how big I was. I remember because I was wearing like a blanket from waist down, but only like the leg that was injured was elevated, so it was exposed. I swear to God, she lifted the blanket to look at my thighs just to see how big I was. So imagine going home and now I have to see everyone looking slim and nice. So it has really affected my self-identity and I'm trying to work on it. I can't say I'm there yet because I'm still scared to go back home, unfortunately. Like if you told me now, go home tomorrow morning, it's Christmas, I would not do it. Because I know once I get those comments and I come back, what they would do to me, they'll probably set me back so much. I'm not ready. I hope I will soon. My biggest wish in 2026 is to go and visit my sister's grave. I really, really hope I can do it. And the thing is, if I could just drive her there, see her grave and come back, I'd do it. But home is far. It's like hours drive. So if I go, I have to sleep somewhere and I don't want to see people. But I hope that I can get to a point where I do it soon. Because 5 years is too long. Even though I still speak to her in my own space, but it's selfish. It's so selfish because literally it's like I've abandoned her. And I think for me personally, this is the biggest thing that this weight gain has taken away from me. It has taken away from me my relationship with my sister, who is not even on this planet anymore. And I'm not blaming gaining weight because I'm the one that gained the weight. So it's not like, but I'm just saying that is what it cost me, amongst many other things. But I think for me, this is the most important one. And it's something that I'm really, really, really ashamed of because I know it's very, very selfish. And I know even my dad, he'd call me and be like, when are you going to see your sister? Like, just come for just one day. And now he say, yes, I'm going to come. But I know my dad is wonderful. He won't say anything. But I know everyone else will. I know everyone else will say something. And then I know that it's going to break me even more because of the fragile place that I am. I already know how bad I look. So I don't want anyone reminding me. But it's very selfish because it has cost me my ability to just still go and sit down and talk to my sister and just, you know what I mean? But I will end this here. There's a lot relationships, like I said, maybe in future videos. But I think after 2 more videos, I will start to be like nice and happy and talk about the things I wanted to talk about. Like, okay, weight loss, week 1 progress, week 2, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I'm going to stop here. So if you're grieving, if you're going through something, if you can, find community. If you can. If you have friends and they're reaching out to you, try not to push them away too much, because maybe that's what's going to help you. You don't want to wake up one day and you like me because of you allowed the grief to. I don't even know how to phrase it, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, I mean that's that. Um, that's that. Oh,